A very good morning to you. Welcome back to K24 this morning. It's Thursday and we discuss relationships, and this one is a very special one because a lot of people are going through this particular issue. You might not even realize that it's a problem until we point out some of the things that we want to talk about today. And the reason why we're here today is to talk about intimacy in marriage. Do you have issues in your marriage as far as intimacy is concerned? Is it why probably it has broken down? Well, I am joined today by Jennifer Karina, who is a psychologist, an author, and a life coach. Karibu tena sana to the program. And then I'm joined by Reverend William Odero, who is the senior pastor at ICC Kitengela. Karibu tena sana, pastor.
Thank you.
How is life in those sides of Kitengela? Umekuja, you're very clean, na nasikianga huko kuna vumbi. I expected ukuja ukifanya hivi, especially after the sandstorm we had, was it on Tuesday?
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, we are doing very well.
Yeah?
In Kitengela. Yes.
Watu huko ni waumini, wanaomba vizuri,
kabisa.
Wako spiritually nourished.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
I think I should visit that particular place.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Uniekele mikono, nitakase na tumafuta hivi kidogo.
Karibu sana.
Yeah. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And I'll start with you, Jennifer. How do we define intimacy in marriage?
Well, the way we define intimacy in marriage is the closeness, the connection between a man and a woman that is a couple. And in this instance, intimacy is beyond the physical.
Okay.
It is emotional.
All right.
It is spiritual. It is social. It is...
Wow. Social. There's intimacy.
Social intimacy.
Okay.
All right. And it is, it's basically, those are basically the main aspects of intimacy in a relationship.
All right.
Because when you talk about intimacy, many people just think about the physical aspect.
Actually, the moment you mention intimacy, my mind goes directly to sex.
Yes. And so intimacy is much more than just sex.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Reverend, I don't know. Do you have similar sentiments or yours are a bit different?
Yeah, just to add to what Jennifer has said, actually intimacy is about the closeness, the togetherness that a couple fails to work towards and a couple fails. Because when you are intimate with somebody, you feel them.
Okay.
You are in their space. You walk in their shoes.
Right.
You identify with them. You empathize with them. And if there is a disconnect in any of the areas that Jennifer has mentioned, then there is a challenge in intimacy. And therefore, intimacy is not just sexual.
In the church, when we come for marriage counseling, whether we are about to get married or we are already in it, is intimacy part of the subjects that you as a reverend will tell the couple to be?
Yes. Actually, what we do, we have a premarital counseling program that we go through, and we looked at a whole spectrum of issues in marriage. And intimacy is a subject of its own that we have the couples go through. And in the last 15 years, I've been privileged to work with couples who are planning to get married through our premarital counseling program. And because of that journey, we have seen a lot of success rate in marriage. So intimacy is a very key area that we help the pre-couples to go through before they are married.
All right. Jennifer, there is a book you've authored, Marriage Builds to Last. I haven't read it yet, but I'm assuming one of the chapters in this particular book touches on intimacy.
Yes.
What kind of advice is in this book as far as intimacy is concerned?
Thanks for asking. One of the things that I emphasize is that there cannot be intimacy if there is no trust. And so trust is really the core and the foundation of every relationship. And so if you're in a relationship and I have to watch my back, how can we grow in intimacy? And so it begins by really being authentic. Are you true to yourself? Even as you got into this relationship, what was your purpose of marriage? Do you have a chemistry? Are you aligned? Are your values aligned? And so it's very difficult to be intimate with someone who you are parallel with. Okay. You have no meeting point. And so, are you in this relationship committed to this relationship? Or are you with me just because you need to have a wife, but actually you are, you know, you've got 10 girlfriends out there?
Reverend, you will agree with me on one point, probably on a, you know, man-to-man level, that sometimes people do marry for convenience, because she has touched on that particular point. I am with you because probably I got you pregnant. I'm with you because probably your family has the money that I need, or the connections that I need. And you find that some of these issues crop up because at the end of the day, this is out of convenience. Pastor, I don't know, have you experienced such with your congregants?
Yeah, but the only challenge is that if you get married for the wrong reason, time will catch up with you. And that's why it's always very, very important to understand the foundation and the reasons behind marriage before you get into marriage. And therefore, that's why, as I was saying earlier, that we help couples understand, why am I getting into this?
All right, and all this happens through premarital counseling?
Yes.
I want to find out if people actually do break up before they get married in a minute. And I want to rope in the audience into this conversation. The question of the day is quite simple, and you can get to us through our various social media platforms. What affects intimacy in marriage? What affects intimacy in marriage? Find us on Twitter at K24 TV, Facebook as well, and Instagram. You can SMS us on 21222. Let us know what has affected intimacy in your marriage. If you're not married and probably you've seen what happens out there, or maybe it scares you, let us know through those various platforms. You can also give us a call on the phone lines that are displayed on your screen. So, Pasi, let me ask you. Have you ever cancelled people and they ended up not getting married because they realize, you know what, this might actually be a mistake?
Actually, we encourage better a broken relationship than a broken marriage. And that's why we stagger the premarital counseling in such a way that we give you 10 weeks, which is 2 months, and we meet every week. And that gives you an opportunity to look at every aspect in marriage and have some reflection time. Within 10 weeks, you know, you can't pretend for a very long time. So that gives you an opportunity to be able also to know your partner to be in a more deeper way. And after that, it will be easier for you now to make a decision whether you want to go ahead with this marriage or not. And we encourage you, it's better to is a better broken relationship
than a broken marriage. Jennifer,
absolutely.
People, whenever they are in a relationship, because again, the moment, and I'm sure, probably correct me if I'm wrong, but majority of the audience in their head, intimacy is actually sex. So if I am in a relationship with my girlfriend or my wife and we are not cuddling together in bed, probably inapatiangwa sex kama dosage once a month, you know, isn't that going to, you know, break down this relationship irrevocably?
It is important to have the physical intimacy, but I want you to know that physical intimacy does not sustain the relationship. All right? And physical intimacy is one that you can have with anybody, even you don't know their second name. You will have fun, and it's over.
One night stand.
One night stand. In the morning, whoops, what just happened? And you move on. And so while it is very important, and it's really, the purpose of marriage is for 2 or 3 reasons. First, it's for recreation, in terms of, you know, just pleasure. 2, it is for, you know, having children, recreation. And 3, it's for fellowship between the 2 of you and, of course, with God, who is the one that ordained the institution of marriage.
So procreation, recreation, fellowship.
Fellowship. So now, first and foremost, allow me to say that marriage has really evolved over the years.
Has it?
Absolutely.
How so?
In the beginning, marriage was not intended for pleasure in the sense that I'm edified as a person. Today, people are looking to be happy because I found someone to really blow my mind and make me happy. really, you are married so that you can raise children, have godly children, and it was more of a community-based project.
Oh. Okay.
All right?
Very interesting.
Very much so. You are married so that you can increase the wealth of the man. And that time, it was polygamy. The more wives you had, the better, because you have good production.
I hope the ladies are taking notes, yes.
And all that. Now, in the 20th century, it took a shift where because of industrialization and the fact that women began to work, and people left the urban areas, I mean the rural areas to Ushago, and they came to the urban, it was no longer about community. It was about me, myself, and I. So you better make me happy. You better kiss me from head to toe. I mean, you blow my mind.
Literally.
What other reason am I with you? And so the focus actually became a bit selfish. So it is, if I don't get what I need, then I walk away and find it somewhere else. And so what happens is that we forget that marriage is a high calling. Marriage to me is a ministry. Marriage is a commitment for better, for worse. Whether it's working or it's not working, I am committed to this cause.
As a Catholic, we call it a sacrament. Rev, you tell me what you have to say about what she has said in terms of the evolution of marriage from, the 19th century into the 20th and now into the 21st.
I totally agree that things are changing and they will continue to change. So it's upon us to be cognizant of the changes that are happening and just to know the totality of marriage and not look at marriage as as a segment of things. And even the issue of sex that you've just talked about, the whole aspect of sex is bigger than just penetration. And that's why you will have even a bigger disconnect between sex, for a man and sex for a woman, and the emotional involvement of the same. So if you look at it only for sex,
then there's a problem.
Then there will be a big problem.
Let's actually hold on that, because we have a Joshua from Kirinyaga. Joshua, good morning, sir.
Morning.
What is your question or comment?
Yes, on the topic on relationships and marriages.
Yes.
And particularly on the question that you asked us.
Yes.
I think anybody will agree with me that one of the major reasons that, one of the major things that really affects intimacy in marriages is the time factor. Anything that you do for a lifetime movie is boring. Let's start there, not even try to defend it.
It's boring.
It's boring. Here is a person that you talk to, you sleep with, you know what they want to say before they even open their mouth. So number one, a factor that affects marriages is the time. Number two, I find it very funny when people try to rope in religion and God in most of the aspects of life. For example, Christians will always want to rope in the aspect of, and God and spirituality. Then I ask myself, there are over the world, which religious doctrine do we rope in our marriage sphere? So I think, and again, there is no proper definition of a perfect marriage. I think the definition of a proper marriage is as many as there are marriages in the world.
Thank you very much, Joshua. Asante sana, Joshua. I believe we are all Christians here. Joshua has said, first of all, the boredom checks in, but he has touched on your area of expertise. He says that religion actually does affect all this intimacy because doctrines are put in there, and there are rules and regulations and so on and so forth as far as intimacy in marriage is concerned. What do you have to say to Joshua?
Actually, research has shown, and this he can check, that religion helps in reinforcing marriages. The fact that you have a belief in God, and you know that He is the author of the institution that you are in, helps you navigate and work through that because He's the author of marriage. So I don't agree that religion brings boredom to the marriage. In terms of years, again, it depends. I've been married 21 years.
Wow.
Okay.
21?
Yes. And,
same woman?
Yes. And awesome. And he can come and check. We are an open book.
Yes.
I can say that it's getting better by the day. And it depends with what you choose to see.
Okay.
Are you seeing the glass half full or half empty?
Half empty, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Jennifer, boredom. You've been married for, I don't know, like Reverend here, 21 years. People out there have been married for 21 years. I mean, you get bored even after 3 months.
I hear you. It's called familiarity.
Okay.
Familiarity brings about that.
Okay.
Now, first and foremost, let me say that it is a fact that marriage goes through some defined stages.
Okay.
And during when you've met someone, you know, you're filled with your love hormones, and the dopamines are so high. Okay. There's such a high level of excitement because you are hormone driven during when you are fallen in love.
Okay.
According to psychologists, this feeling lasts about from 3 months to 2 years, 18 months actually.
All right.
And then it goes. When it does go, a lot of people think that they are not in love with their partners anymore because they are not highly driven.
Now, they're not what driven?
Highly driven.
Just hold that thought.
Highly driven.
We have Kagwema on the line. Kagwema, good morning. Kagwema from Limuru, good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you.
Yes, what is your question or comment?
I comment asking about what affects intimacy in marriage.
Yes.
And I want to say that I agree with Joshua from Kitengela that marriage has affected marriage in a very big way. In that, you see, Jennifer is a psychologist. And she knows that the Freud talked about the structure of human personality.
Yes.
Most Christians operate from the ideal level, which does not exist.
Okay.
So I think when you bring God in marriage, it actually affects a lot because about the belief system.
Wow.
Because when we are young, in our childhood years, we are taught that sex is bad, sex is a sin, it's demonized.
Yeah.
You even remember during the time of the Victorian era, when if people had orgasm, they used to go to police for confession, you know?
Yeah.
Which was a criminalization of sex.
Okay.
So I agree with the pastor should actually set more right on religion. That we should not spiritualize marriage, we should not spiritualize sex, we should not do that. We should actually create boredom actually.
Okay.
To create boredom, and the way you look at it, you have to spice it, isn't it?
Very true, Kagwema. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I think also Limuru Neo Baridiote, it affects intimacy in marriage. However, we shall get to, because he has mentioned again, the whole spirituality aspect.
Yes.
But you're saying something.
Allow me, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe let me hold that thought
a bit longer. Okay,
yes. And let me dive into the spirituality. One of the things that happens is that in terms of dating and courtship, where religion is concerned, you're supposed to wait until you're married before you engage in sex.
All right.
I've met enough Christian couples who are really struggling.
Yes.
Why? First and foremost, you believed it was dirty, it was a sin, it was wrong. Over the night, you are supposed to just enjoy this fruit that was forbidden.
Yes.
And I find that a lot of people really struggle because of guilt. It's actually, they suffer from guilt.
What guilt?
The guilt as a result of doing something that is forbidden. Because the mind has not had a shift to recognize that, all right, it's no longer forbidden. And that is something that people suffer from. And
so reconciling that situation is okay.
I'm no longer single, I'm now married.
Yeah.
Others come and ask, Jenny, 30 years I was pure. I waited. Is this it?
Because this is what I was waiting for?
This is what I was waiting for. I'm so done. I don't want it.
Wow.
Why? Because there is a level of fantasy that we tend to live in.
Okay.
internet, pornography, things you engage with.
Stories from our friends.
Stories, particularly that one. I mean, they will take you to heaven and back. And then when your time comes, it's like, it doesn't resonate with what I had been told. And so it is about unmet expectations. And it begins right there at the foundational level. If you don't seek help at that time, then you know what happens is you live in avoidance. I'd rather not do this. I would rather not.
Interesting aspect, because now if I've been waiting for 30 years to actually enjoy this fruit, and now I'm having it, and you're saying that it's your time as I expected. So what are we saying? That people should now start sampling before? Or, you know what? Percy, can you first of all answer Kagwema from Limuru? He has said we shouldn't bring spirituality into marriage. And yet you are saying God authored this marriage.
Institution
so
of marriage.
If we do not, if we do not bring it, and now you're saying that if God is the one who authored it, then it will affect my intimacy with my wife.
Thank you very much, Kagwema from Limuru. First, I would also want him to appreciate that I'm also a counseling psychologist by training.
Wow.
And having said that, I'm also practicing the institution of marriage.
All right.
I'm not theorizing. I'm not talking about theory. As a person, as an individual, I've experienced it 21 years, and therefore I can speak experientially from what
with authority,
of what is happening.
Actually, I think we should answer also John from Rongai. John, good morning. John.
Yes, hello.
Yani network ya Rongai bado ina take time kufika Nairobi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
What is your question or comment?
Wacha vipindi naendelea hapo. Ni mzuri sana, nimeipenda, nimefungulia tu K24, nashindanga hapa asubuhi mkiwa hapo. Ndio maana ninaona ni comedy, ni mzuri sana, mnaendelea kusaidia marriage sana, nini watu wenye wako kwa relationship.
Asante sana.
Hongera sana.
Aya, karibu. He's appreciating. It looks like what we are saying in Namsaidia. It's getting his intimacy back.
Yes.
So you are answering Kagwema.
Yes. So marriage is work.
Okay.
And it takes the two to tango.
Right.
And you have to work, as Jennifer has said, that marriage goes through cycles and is upon the individual couple to be at a place where they know which season are we in our marriage. And
yes. There's a season?
Yeah, there are many seasons in marriage, and if we have time, we will be looking at that.
I think that's a topic for a different day, but carry on.
And in each and every season, you need to get the best out of it. And it works.
Okay.
Yes.
Jennifer, again, I'll get back to what Kagwema has said, because not all of us are religious.
True.
We might be going to church on Sundays because it's a tradition we've been doing for the last 30 years. But at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily getting anything out of that. So coming down to the ground, the reality is that people are facing real intimacy issues.
Yes.
In your professional opinion, what are some of the issues that are affecting the Kawaida man, whether he's a Muslim, whether he's a Christian, an atheist?
Yes. Basically, the big word is unmet expectations.
Okay.
All right? Because when we come together, I have a set of expectations and what I think I should expect from you.
Right.
And so that is really one that affects. And it carries everything. Communication is the second one. The fact that we are beginning a relationship, or we are in one, not sharing about what I desire affects the relationship, because you choose that I'm no longer here. Let me find where I can be accepted, maybe the way I am.
Okay.
Exploration. And thirdly, is really not being authentic.
Okay.
Being authentic is being true. And being true is desiring to really become one, because we are in this. It's a decision that you make.
Okay.
We are in this together. We are in it for the long haul, and it had better work. And so you begin to actually work, even as Pastor says that it's work. At the end of the day, this is the truth of the matter. Where you began is a high level of emotional and physical connection.
All right.
But as the years progress, you cannot maintain the energy of youthful years. And you are still looking for youthful years, energy, it can't happen.
Reverend has been there for 21 years, so I want us to take a short break. When we return, utatuambia your energy, momentum, how you maintained it. Unakunywanga energy drink, what is the science behind it, or the nini behind it? So, 3 things that, actually I think 4 you've mentioned: expectations, communication, and exploration, and authentic. Okay, 4 things. As you think about them, the question of the day was very simple. What affects intimacy in marriage? Please tell us through our social media pages at K24 TV across all the platforms, and the SMS line is 21222. We take a short break. We'll be right back.